Welcome to today's webinar, courtesy of the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. Discover no-cost, valuable business services to help you thrive, whether starting your entrepreneurial journey or scaling your existing business. We have the resources and expertise to help you succeed. For more information, please visit our website or text 502-977-5800. Thank you for joining us today. Feel free to use the chat feature to ask questions or engage with our speaker. Let's get started. Hi, everybody, and welcome to another Toolkit Tuesday. I'm Janet Flaw with the Kentucky Small Business Development Center in Louisville. Well, we're missing Dave this week because he's actually in Orlando for a national training event and learning more skills and information to help our clients and all the folks we come in contact with. So filling in today from our Louisville office is business coach Claire Bridges. So say
hi, everyone.
Claire. Welcome, Claire. I'm going to let Claire take over Dave's spot, and I'll be in the background.
Thanks, Janet. Hi, everyone. Thanks for joining another Toolkit Tuesday. We've got an in-house presenter this week. Kevin Norville is part of our team at the state office with the Kentucky Small Business Development Center. Welcome, Kevin.
Hi, Claire. Hi, Janet. Hi, everyone. Great to be with you all today.
Yeah, awesome. If you don't mind to pop your name in the chat, Dave would be distraught if we didn't find out where everyone was listening from today. So please introduce yourself in the chat. Tell us where you're listening from, whether it's local to Louisville or Kentucky or somewhere across the country. We would love to find that out. And today we are going to talk about all things AI. Kevin has been our AI guru within our organization, and so he has lots of things to share with you all. It seems like as soon as a new concept comes out and you kind of get the hang of that, there's something new. So we're all learning together, and we are excited to jump in. Looks like folks are popping in the chat all around. Let's see. Louisville, Kentucky. Oh, Park Community Credit Union. Awesome. Third Turn Brewing in J-Town. Oh, San Antonio, Texas. Wisconsin. Wonderful. It's a good group.
Nice.
Big group today. Well, Kevin, I will let you take it away. And again, if you all have any questions during the presentation, I'll be watching the chat. I'm happy to jump in and ask those questions as Kevin goes along. Thank you all.
Super. Thank you, Claire, for that introduction, and great to be with you all today. Appreciate you taking time out on your Tuesday here for some discussion and learning about AI. As Claire mentioned, this topic is just changing so fast. It is extremely difficult to keep up to speed on what's happening. But today, what I've got for you is a little bit of variety about sort of what's new and what's next. But then we're also maybe going to do a little bit of a deeper dive into one of the particular aspects that I think when it comes to AI and especially ChatGPT is very helpful for small business owners. When they see the capabilities of this particular feature of ChatGPT, I think it opens up possibilities for them. And so that's the topic of custom GPTs. So we're going to look a little bit more detail about that, but I also again, have some time to share with you from some of the folks that I've learned so much from, and those are some various AI practitioners that I'll share some insights from. So with that, we'll go ahead and get started. I do want to give a little bit of a brief introduction in case you're not familiar with this AIU initiative that we have going on at the Kentucky SBDC. It's not just us, it's a national effort. It's a program created by the America's SBDC with funding support from Google, with the entire intention being to provide ways in which we can educate small business owners on some foundational AI concepts. So it's not just training, but also one-to-one business coaching. And you're going to see, no matter where you're at, maybe these AI clinics popping up from time to time. So, America's SBDC covers the entire nation. There's 62 programs throughout the United States. So this is going to be a concerted effort that we have throughout the America's SBDC network. And so our ultimate goal is to train and support over 100,000 clients with these AI tools and workshops. So we're going to be having some more programming built around this. And if you're not yet, rather, signed up to get some more updates on this, I encourage you to take a snap here of the QR code, sign up on our really brief form. What this is going to do is put you on our list. We'll send you some updates as new things are announced. And one of those things that's coming up is we're actually going to develop a Slack workspace specific to this discussion around AI tools, concepts, training, so that we can kind of have a way to continue that conversation outside of these workshops. So if you've not signed up yet, I encourage you to do so, and appreciate the chance to interact with you throughout this time. So to kick things off, one of the great AI practitioners that I like to refer to here is Nate Jones. And Nate gives us a great reminder that we sometimes need to just pause and reflect and realize how early are we on in this process. It's really just been 1,008 days since ChatGPT came on the scene. So let's take a listen.
1001 Nights is the name of course, a very famous fairy tale collection. It is also the number of nights since ChatGPT launched. Yes, it's true. We have had 1,002 days and presumably something like 1,001 nights. There have been so many developments since then, and I think it's worth stepping back and realizing that it has only been about 1,000 days since everything started to change with large language models. 1,000 days ago, nobody had ChatGPT. 1,000 days ago, nobody was writing anything with ChatGPT. With help, without help, with a little bit of help, with a lot of help, nobody, nothing. Nobody was doing math. We didn't think math could be done with large language models. We didn't think large language models could call tools like Python. We didn't even imagine what a model context protocol server is, MCP server. And if some of this stuff doesn't make sense to you, that's okay. I talk about a lot of AI stuff. You can ask ChatGPT. It couldn't browse the internet. We had no idea that LLMs could browse the internet. We had no idea that inference compute as a concept could exist. So the idea that it would think longer and be smarter, didn't think about it, didn't know about it, didn't do it. That's all new. That is all a tiny, tiny taste of what's in the last 1,000 days. Oh yeah, conversing, using audio, video generation, using images, just to generate them, to edit them, all in the last 1,000 days. We are at the point, and I am not making this up, Google talked about this week, where they can put an LLM agent inside an imaginary world created by another LLM visually. So the agent is exploring basically a visual world entirely imagined by another LLM. This is all in the last 1,000 days. And so my question is very simple. What do you think is coming in the next 1,000 days?
Great question. Yeah, and so this is, I guess, the sort of level setting, right? Just a chance to kind of recognize that it's still not too late, number one, right? If you've not been following this thing, if you've not been keeping up, if you've not yet incorporated or integrated ChatGPT or another AI tool into your business, it's not too late. It's still very early, but certainly it is kind of also important to recognize just how fast things are moving. And so that's kind of the reminder here that Nate provides. Now, this recent podcast featured the chief product officer from OpenAI, and he kind of reinforces this idea of yeah, think about how many things have changed, but think about how many things have yet to change, because all of the technology tools that we've had up until this point were really developed in a world where AI didn't exist. So what does that mean for what's to come?
What's your advice to entrepreneurs wanting to build on top of OpenAI?
Here's the context that I think is most important. Every single product we use, every single service that we use today, every single device that we use, practically all of them were pre-AI. Any of the ones that are at scale were pre-AI. They're all going to be reinvented.
It's like adding electricity to every mechanical thing.
Exactly. That's a really good analogy. Yeah. Everything is going to be reinvented. Sometimes the incumbents are going to figure out how to do it themselves. If history is any guide, not many of them are going to figure it out, right? And that's a huge opportunity for startups, for entrepreneurs.
And I think that analogy, that the piece about electricity is what one that I try to share with people as well. Think about, the time in which we're living through, that we've been blessed to live in a time with this technology, AI, and the effects that it's going to have on literally everything. It's going to be akin to, the invention of electricity, and when we started to see electricity applied into every facet of life, right? So electricity is this horizontal enabling layer, meaning it's in everything, it makes everything better. AI can be thought of in so many ways similar to that. AI is going to make everything better. It will be in everything. Now, there's some people who would doubt that and say, well, maybe that's not the best thing, but it's here. The genie is not going back into the bottle. And so I think it's important for business owners, especially, to step back and realize and rethink their business from a perspective of saying, okay, now that AI is here, since it is, how does my business need to change based upon the things that I can do as a result of this, tremendous technology? And so it really starts with a mindset shift of how are we going to implement AI into the various aspects of our business? And we'll talk a little bit more about that as we go. I want to bring this thing up because I think this has gotten a lot of press here recently, and maybe you've seen it. In fact, making the rounds on social media, talking about where AI, quote unquote, gets its facts. And this one is just one of those that's really, incorrect. I could say something more harsh, but it's really incorrect. Because what happens here is now a lot of people have taken this and they're saying, well, see, AI isn't doing anything good. It's just pulling information from Reddit or Wikipedia. But that is not what this chart is saying. That is not what is actually happening. And so Ethan Mollick, who, if you've not followed Ethan, especially on LinkedIn, I really encourage, he's a great follow to kind of stay up to date on AI. He really looks at this through a lens of, he's a professor at the Wharton School of Business, but he really looks at this through a lens of what's practical uses for AI. And so he's saying here, this chart is everywhere and it's being horribly misrepresented. This is not where AI training data comes from or where AI gets its facts. This is basically looking at just the web search function of specific AI programs. So when it does a search, which websites does it most often come back with? So you can see it's not where AI got its training data. It's not how AI produces answers. It's when you ask AI to go out and search the web and say, hey, give me the best dishwasher I should buy for my house. Well, in that case, you can see it's going to go down, and 4.6% is going to look at Home Depot for some of that information. So that is one small aspect of what AI is doing, but it does not mean that that's how AI is coming up with answers, right? And so I like to bring this up just because this is really kind of spreading around on the internet, and I think a lot of people are using it to sort of discredit, if you will, the usefulness of AI. Ethan goes on to say this is another post he had on LinkedIn that sort of, again, kind of resets things and says, okay, what if, let's just say that as of today, all of these great advancements in AI stopped, right? What if it just stopped right now? Well, it's not going to happen, right? It's only getting better. But even if it stopped right now, the amount of disruption and the amount of innovation that's available to us would still take us years to fully understand and implement. So it's not a very useful use of our time to speculate that AI might somehow disappear. The last sentence here is where I want to focus on. AI is not going to get less capable than today. In other words, this is as bad as it's ever going to get. So for all the limitations, for all the things in which AI doesn't do great, this is as bad as it'll ever be. It's only going to improve from here. So it's important for business owners to really recognize they can't, not pay attention to AI. They can't bury their head in the sand and say, this is only a fad, it's going away. This is going to, again, it will change everything, and it already is changing everything. I like to include this chart. It's just one way that we evaluate the effectiveness, or in this case, the intelligence, if you will, and I should use my air quotes there, of specific AI models, or in this case, LLM models. I say one because there's multiple ways that you can actually evaluate these, but this one I like to include because they update it daily. They produce some nice charts, so I like to give them credit for that. Artificial Analysis is the website. And what you'll note here, a lot of times when we think about AI, people think immediately about ChatGPT, and that's all they think about. Or if you're in a Microsoft ecosystem, Office 365, you may just think about Copilot. In that case, I'm sorry. If you're in the Google ecosystem, you probably think about Gemini. But the truth is that these AI models exist from multiple platforms. So you have here, obviously at the top of the charts right now is GPT-5, which is the most recent model release from OpenAI. But then you have Grok 4 right behind it from xAI. Then you have O3, which is an older model from ChatGPT. Then you get into Google Gemini. But there's a lot of companies here in this space. It's not just one or two. There's several here that it's important to know about. And this ranking, again, it doesn't mean that one is always going to be better. In fact, a lot of times you'll see them leapfrog one another with a new announcement or a new update. It's also important to recognize that some of these models are open source, or in this case, more correct way to say that would be open weights. And I don't want to get too technical because I don't want to lose anyone here. But really what that means, these that are in blue are those open source models. That means you can actually run those models on your own server or on your, in some cases, even on your own devices, and not have to send your data off into the cloud to ChatGPT or Google or anybody else. So those open source models are really getting some attention, especially from companies that are extremely concerned about data privacy and security. So we'll talk a little bit more about that. And I want to introduce at least one of the more recent developments from ChatGPT where they released their own open source series. That's what the OSS stands for in ChatGPT OSS, including one that can actually run on your MacBook.
We got some pretty major news out of OpenAI today. They just released their open weight model that they've been promising for a few months now. Now, if you're wondering why would you care about one of these open weight models can be downloaded to your computer and run completely offline. So this brand new model is called GPT OSS, and it comes in two flavors, two sizes, right? You've got GPT OSS 120 billion parameter and GPT OSS 20B, which is a lot less parameters, but should be a lot faster and be able to run on more machines. They also release them under the Apache 2.0 license, meaning that people can download these models, fine tune them how they want, and pretty much iterate off of this model. You don't need internet access to run these. You do need a pretty decent GPU to run them. Also, none of the data gets sent to the cloud. So whatever conversations you have with one of these models, it's not getting sent to Google or OpenAI or Microsoft or whoever. It all stays locally on your computer. Nobody can see any of the conversations you have with these models. In the Codeforce competition code benchmark, we can see that the 120 billion parameter model got a 2,622 score. The current state of the art, pretty much best models ChatGPT has right now, it's pretty on par. It just performed slightly worse than those, but I mean very slightly. In this humanities last exam, these open weight models perform about on par as O4 Mini. On Health Bench, it actually performs close to O3 and better than O4 and O3 Mini. In competition math, it actually outscores O3 and O3 Mini. So these models are really good at math and code. And again, open weight model, free to use, can download on your computer, and it is pretty close to matching the current state of the art closed models from OpenAI.
Now, these models are still what would be considered, pretty big in terms, and that's why, at least if you go with the larger of the two, you're going to have some significant, horsepower, some hardware behind it in order to run. But at least the smaller model, I've already tried it. You can actually download it, run it on your MacBook, turn off your Wi-Fi, and you still have a ChatGPT instance that you can interact with. I think this is going to be a trend, actually. I believe that we're going to see companies, in some cases, those that are very highly regulated industries that want to implement AI, but are extremely concerned and or prohibited for data security and privacy concerns, look at these types of solutions to be able to launch those locally. So then you get into this concept, well, there are, we talk about large language models like ChatGPT, Gemini, Grok, Claude, those, but there are now a subset of some of those open source models that are considered small language models. And so there's some significant benefits to this and why I think enterprises and organizations might want to look at them. So I wanted to introduce this because a lot of times I think companies may be concerned that, hey, I can never use ChatGPT because we just can't, comply with the data privacy or regulations that we have in regards to that. So I want to at least introduce this, and then we'll move on to something a little more practical. but at least want to bring it to your
The
attention.
reality is that companies aren't interested in exposing all of their data via ChatGPT or Claude APIs, may not have the luxury of waiting for the slow responses of LLMs, and are always looking for ways to reduce costs. This is where small language models come in. An AWS deployment of Llama 3, which is an LLM, would cost about $38 per hour or come out to at least $27,000 per month. A BERT-based model, on the other hand, which is a small language model, could achieve similar results in accuracy for domain-specific tasks like customer service and would rack up deployment costs of just around $380 per month. This comes out to almost a 99% reduction in cost. In addition to this, it is extremely easy to run these small language models locally, allowing you to maintain 100% of your privacy while cutting latency down to milliseconds from the seconds that would be required for cloud-based deployment API calls. It is for these reasons that if you plan on working on AI at pretty much any company, knowing about small language models will likely benefit you far more than understanding large language models.
Okay, that's as technical as we're going to get today. I do apologize, but I wanted to at least cover that because I think you're going to start hearing more about this. I think you're going to start to hear companies maybe in healthcare, maybe in finance, maybe other regulated industries that are saying, okay, we can't use ChatGPT, but we can deploy our own small language model or our own open source model and use that with our data. Obviously, some of the benefits here, why do people care? Why do organizations care? Well, certainly it's like anything else. There's privacy, speed, autonomy. These are very lightweight, smaller models. The big thing when you think about a large language model, keep in mind, it was trained on the entire knowledge of the internet, right? It knows everything from organic chemistry to the downfall of the Roman Empire. But if you are an organization, you don't need that corpus of data to be able to be referenced. Maybe you're in healthcare and you're just trying to analyze potential insurance claims to determine which ones may be more likely to be denied. Or maybe you're in finance and you're using this to underwrite, some of the loans that you're making, right? It doesn't need that broad context of knowledge. It needs very specific and specialized, highly specialized, I would argue, knowledge in order to do those functions very well. And so that's where these small language models really shine. So, all right. With that, now let's turn to something on the opposite end of the spectrum, something that's super fun. So Google recently released a product that is called Nano Banana. And what's so fun about this, besides the name, or actually related to the name, I should say, is, Google is fond of having code words for different releases, and this goes back, for years. And so when they released this, they did it anonymously. They said, okay, well, here's this new model. Let's see. And people just went really crazy over how effective it was. And so I want to introduce this to you to Nano Banana because a lot of the things that we can do with ChatGPT, with text, and the way that we work with ChatGPT, now, because of Nano Banana, you can essentially do the same type of thing with images. So I've got just a real couple of introductory videos here to share with you.
Google just released Nano Banana, their most advanced AI image editor, and it's completely free. It's seriously impressive, beating ChatGPT, Flux, and Midjourney in benchmarks, making it the top-rated model on LM Arena for image editing. Just head over to Google AI Studio, upload your photo, and describe what you'd like changed. You can completely transform outfits, change backgrounds, or even add creative elements while keeping everything else perfectly intact. But here's the crazy part, you can blend multiple photos together to create entirely new scenes. Upload different images and merge them into one cohesive, realistic photo. Most AI tools like Midjourney and Flux struggle with keeping consistency across complex edits, but this thing handles multi-step transformations while maintaining photorealistic quality. What most people don't know is that this model went viral through blind testing where users didn't even know it was Google. What used to require professional photo editing skills can now take seconds, simple text descriptions.
So remember when we used to always use the phrase, oh, well, we'll just Photoshop that, right? We'll be able to Photoshop that. And a lot of times people would use that phrase and they'd say, oh yeah, well, I'll just Photoshop that. But they really had no idea how to Photoshop that to accomplish what it is they were looking to do. They just knew that the capability existed somewhere that someone could use Photoshop to make that edit that way. Well, now pretty much anybody can Photoshop that using Google's Nano Banana. All of those little examples you saw were just really perfect illustrations of how easy it is to do. You start with an image or multiple images, and then you just tell it what you want and it does it. The amazing thing that people have commented about Google's Nano Banana is the character consistency. You may have tried this with other AI models when you upload an image and say, okay, well, put me in a suit or put me in a different environment. And all of a sudden the face is completely reconstructed. It doesn't look like you at all. Now with Google's Nano Banana, that's no longer an issue. It has tremendous character consistency and it can remember those things from one scene to another. So here's another, again, sort of a little fun example because I know you're going to want to go try this after this webinar. So I just wanted to give you just a quick click through of what you can do and how you need to get to it.
Okay, Google Nano Banana is crazy. So I'll take a selfie of me with my ugly face, then go to Google Gemini, select the banana mode right here, upload my photo, and ask it to make my bird 300% longer. And boom, here it is. How do I look? I think I need some shades, right? So I will ask it to add some Ray-Ban shades, and boom, here they go. Pretty realistic, right? And now check the fun part. I will take a Coca-Cola can, add my logo as well, and ask it to replace the Coca-Cola colors and logo with mine, and add it in my hand. And boom, here it is. Looks cool, right? But I don't like being alone, so let me add Sydney Sweeney. Sydney is here with me. Let me know if you're watching this video, because now I'm planning to take you to Santorini. And boom, here we are. We look pretty good, right? What do you think about Gemini Banana? Let me know in the comments.
So this is one of those things that, again, everybody's using it for all sorts of fun use cases, but I think there are some business use cases here as well. Think about that example you just showed of taking a Coca-Cola can and then saying, okay, but here's my logo. I want you to replace the logo on the Coke can with my logo. Think about if you're a business that sells products and you may not have the money or the budget or the time to devote to a professional photo shoot to feature your products in a number of different environments. Well, now you can do all that through one little tool in Google called Nano Banana. I hope they keep the name. They'll probably change it to something much less interesting, but Nano Banana, I think it's just the right time for this type of name for an AI tool. It certainly sounds better than some of the other options. Now, another example that a lot of people get amazed by is the ability to create a digital avatar of yourself. And so I wanted to showcase this because I get asked this question a lot. People see different examples and they're not sure exactly, number one, where to start if they wanted to create this type of thing, but also just how easy it is to do. So I want to just walk you through this and then actually present an example that I did on myself to see what you think. So here we go.
Life can get pretty busy. Lucky for him, he has an AI clone. That's right, this is my AI avatar. Just a lot more handsome. See, an AI avatar or a digital clone comes in super handy. You know, I might not always be able to make it in front of the camera. That's where he comes in. The rest of this video will be my clone showing you how to make your own. See ya. First, head over to heygen.com. They have the best-in-class tech. I mean, just look how natural I look and sound. Click on Create New Avatar and choose Hyper-Realistic Avatar. Upload at least a 30-second video. The longer and higher the resolution, the better, and then let HeyGen do its thing. After a few minutes, you now have an incredibly compelling digital twin that can speak any language with voice-synced emotions, realistic hand gestures, expressive facial movement, perfect voice match, and more. So now, you have a creative collaborator and a brand expansion engine.
So this creative content generation, is an aspect of, digital marketing and just marketing in general now that a lot of business owners really get stuck on, right? Because it's time consuming. They don't want to take the time to literally go through a studio or they feel like they may not have the right equipment. Well, in this case, you can create your own digital avatar and use it on repeat and just type in what you want it to say and it will say it. So like I said, I wanted to test this because I feel like the use cases are somewhat limited, but at least I wanted to show you all what it could look like if you go about and create your own. So here's my image. This was a very quick and dirty test that I did, but I wanted to show it to you. And then you tell me in the comments, do you think it was realistic or does it appear way too fake? Hey, everyone. I wanted to introduce you to HeyGen's avatar. So what do you think? Does this look and sound like me? So there you go. And I'm going to look for any comments or thumbs up or anything in the comments that might show that you think it looks real or sounds real. Claire says yes. Yeah, I think it could pass, right? And again, I didn't spend a lot of time. This was just a couple of minutes that I uploaded a brief sample. What's crazy though is the next example that I'm going to share with you, which is I will have to say up front, I do not speak any other languages fluently, but with HeyGen, I can. Hola a todos, quería presentarles el avatar de HeyGen. ¿Qué les parece? ¿Se parece y suena como yo? Again, I don't understand what I said just there, but maybe someone who speaks Spanish might be able to. This is one of those situations where, again, I think we're going to see so much development in this space. Already, we're seeing, and Google had this announcement last week. I don't know if anybody ordered the new Google phone, but they're touting the real-time translation of this type of thing. So in other words, you could be on, let's say, a Google Meet call, and actually have real-time audio translation, with the same thing you saw here. The same mannerisms, the same voice, the inflection, the tone, right? It would sound like it's coming from your voice and not that of an interpreter. So the way I encountered this recently was I was taking a course, and the instructor actually came on at the very first session and said, look, this course, and it was obviously about AI. And he said, look, this topic is changing so rapidly. We can't always, shut things down, go back to the studio and record new content every time an update needs to be made. But using an AI avatar, we can. So he sort of was very transparent at the beginning of the course, which I appreciated. He said, look, you're going to see me live, the real me, for the most of the duration of this course. However, when there are updates we need to talk about, you may notice a slight difference and you may appear to see my digital avatar. And that's where you're actually going to start to see the benefits, because now instead of going back to the studio, they can just type out a script and then the person can say anything that you want them to say. So one more example, this one kind of highlights again the emphasis on the being able to speak multiple languages. So I just wanted to share, it's just really quick.
Okay, so this AI tool is increíble porque ahora puedo traducir mi audio a cualquier idioma. Et lorsque je bouge la tête, vous pouvez voir que la synchronisation labiale s'adapte. 实际上贴合在我角色的脸上。This AI tool is incredible. If you want to do this too, record your video and go to HeyGen, where you can select Translate Video, then select Hyper-Realistic Translation. Now you can drag in your video file and select the advanced option at the top of the page. From here, you can now write in the languages that you want to translate the video into, hit that lip sync button, and boom, you can hit Translate. If you want access to these tools, type AI in the comments and I'll send you the links.
You don't need a link. It's just heygen.com. So again, there's several of these tools that are out there that work very similar to this, but it's one of those things that you may not realize is possible until you come across it and then maybe try it. So you can take a really short video and upload it and have it speak whatever language you need it to. So anyway, I thought that was pretty cool. I wanted to share that. And so that's kind of my update on sort of where things are right now and some of the cool tools that you might not be aware of. So I wanted to reserve some time today to actually talk a little bit more about a specific topic, which I sort of introduced at the beginning, of custom GPTs. And so I'm actually going to come out of my screen share here and actually go into ChatGPT, and we're going to work a little bit with custom GPTs. So I first need to define and kind of let you know what is a custom GPT. You may not have encountered one of those yet. But again, kind of goes back to the idea, think about ChatGPT. It's been trained on literally essentially all of human knowledge. A custom GPT is your way to build a tool, an AI-powered tool, that you can train with your knowledge. Maybe it's about your business or your industry, or a topic that's just especially important to you that you want the ChatGPT to utilize and allow you to interact with it in order to accomplish a specific task. So what you're doing is you're actually, when you build a custom GPT, you are building an AI tool that you can use just for yourself. You can share with your colleagues or your team, or you can actually make it publicly available and anyone can use it. But the key thing here is you control the information or the knowledge that the custom GPT utilizes when it gives a response or an answer. So like if it's a business use case, maybe you want to take all of the onboarding material that you use to onboard a new employee and upload that into a custom GPT so that when that new staff person joins your team, you can give them access to this custom GPT and they can ask it questions all day long. And it will always reference the material that you have uploaded. So that's a really great use case. I think one that's very powerful, but there's all sorts of other ones as well. And we'll talk a little bit about those as we look at this. But let me do one video intro because there's another feature of ChatGPT that's very similar. Oftentimes it gets confused with custom GPTs, and that's called projects. So I want to at least kind of set the stage here for what is a project and what is a custom GPT. How are they alike and how do they differ? So let me take a moment here and we'll watch this quick video and then we'll get into actually building a custom GPT and I'll show you what it looks like.
I still get questions all the time on what's the difference between a chat GPT project and a custom GPT. Well, let's hop into it real quick in under 60 seconds. A custom GPT is a reusable, focused AI assistant that does one job and one job only consistently. These do not store history. A project consolidates chats, files, and instructions for an ongoing task. These do store history. Let me show you a couple examples on how I use it. This is an example of one of my favorite custom GPTs, this MCEA credit card benefits. This custom GPT has a list of all of our credit cards and is focused on translating point values into benefits. So every time I'm going to make a big purchase, I can ask this custom GPT which credit card is the best to use, and it's going to always give me a very consolidated, consistent answer. Versus this, that's a project. This is my Health GPT project. It contains a whole bunch of context files like workout history, calorie intake, stuff like that, and custom instructions, and I can have a continuous ongoing chat with this project. Here's the bottom line. We have repeatable versus evolving. Choose a custom GPT when you need the same capability over and over. Choose a project when the work itself will grow, branch, and may require some ongoing context. Control versus convenience. Custom GPTs hand you the steering wheel. Projects, it trades that control for an easy organization and built-in memory. The last is shareability. Custom GPTs can be shared with anyone if you choose to. A project is private and it's only yours. You can't share projects. Follow me for more ChatGPT tips you actually need to know.
So I like that example pretty good. In fact, a lot of times when people ask me the question about projects versus custom GPTs, I'll say, well, the functionality is so similar that it really, the biggest decision comes down to, okay, do you want this to just be a tool that only you have access to, or do you need to share it with someone else? Because if the focus is internal and it's really just yours, then a project is probably the best use case. But if it's something that, it's a tool and people want to use it and would get benefit from it, maybe again, your colleagues, teammates, people at your work, or in your industry, if you're developing something for that, you can make it public and you can actually share it with just specific people so that you could share them and give them a link and then they could actually use it. The key thing to remember is you, as the owner or the author of the custom GPT, you retain ownership. No one else can take that one and they can't see necessarily the custom instructions that you gave the custom GPT. But let me go in and actually show you what this looks like so you'll have a better feel for it. So when I go into ChatGPT, right, your interface is going to be very similar here when you're using it in the web. And so when you look here on the left-hand side, of course, you've got the new chats, your ability to search through chats, your library, which is just any images that you've created. But then you notice this section called GPTs. So I'm going to start here because I want to introduce you to what the best way to describe it, I think, is to make it similar to the App Store on your phone, right? Your phone has this App Store that you can go and download little apps that do usually single purpose tasks that you can install on your phone and utilize those. Now, when ChatGPT released this, they initially said, oh, well, if you want, you can actually build these GPTs and sell them. And so people thought, oh, wow, this is going to be kind of fun and interesting. I can actually build a GPT and sell it. But what's happened is really nobody's, at least not significantly, selling a lot of GPTs because, I mean, let's face it, essentially we can build our own, right? The tools are here. But I want to show you some of these that are publicly available because it'll tell you a little bit about them when you look. Some of these this is kind of the featured GPTs. There's this Write for Me GPT. There's this Scholar GPT that actually utilizes specific resources when you're doing searches. And when you click on one of these, you'll see a little more information about that GPT and how it works. It tells you who it was made by. You can actually go to their website if you'd like. The nice thing here is it gives a user rating, and this is actually rated by people who are using ChatGPT. How beneficial did they find this GPT? Would they recommend it to others? That kind of thing. So these are actual user reviews. So you can see it's got a 4.3 rating out of 5 stars. And more importantly, I think over 100,000 ratings. So that means it's been used quite a bit. The other thing here you'll notice is it's currently ranked number 10. That's more of a popularity ranking in the research and analysis category. And just as the number of ratings are pretty high, there's been a lot of conversations that have utilized this GPT. So it's 28 million. So that tells me I can have somewhat a higher level of comfort or trust in this GPT because it's used by a lot of people. And it's got a high ranking in the category that I'm looking at, research and analysis. And there's been a good number of ratings that have been very positive. So anyway, it tells you a little bit about the GPT. And then if you want to use this one, then you just click Start Chat. Okay. And then that's simple as that. From that point on, now you are actually using this GPT. And it will show up in your conversation history. So you'll be able to go back and visit it. So at that point, it's not using the full Chat GPT, if you will. It is using Scholar GPT. And you'll notice it right here. It even says this is, in fact, using that GPT called Scholar GPT. So that is where you'll find these GPTs. And again, some of these are developed by independent people. Some of them are developed by companies, organizations. In this case, ChatGPT has actually developed some of their own that you can utilize. And so you'll find these, again, they're sorted by different categories. And in some cases, you can see that they're made by brands or names that you really recognize. So for instance, I don't know if anyone uses Canva, but Canva has a GPT that you can utilize, and it will actually connect back to your Canva account. So you can actually interact with this Canva GPT inside of ChatGPT and have it develop a flyer template, let's say. And then at the end, it will say, okay, do you want to go edit this in Canva? So it'll take all that information you've talked about and interacted with it, and then it'll actually open that up in Canva so you can use it. Now, I will say, the reviews aren't as great in this particular case. It's 3.5 stars out of 5, still ranked pretty high, number 11, and still a whole bunch of conversations, but maybe the results have been a little bit more hit or miss, right? So you get the idea. If you've seen the App Store on your phone, you kind of understand the same thing happens here with GPTs. Now, all of these are free. I've not came across any that would require you to pay for them. In fact, to my knowledge, ChatGPT doesn't have the ability or the mechanism through which to actually charge you. So you're not going to run into that situation. But let me go back over now and talk about a custom GPT. So when you actually go to My GPTs up here in the top right, this will show you any custom GPTs that you have already created. And from that, it will then let you edit those or interact with them. The one I'm going to show you today is this Zoom virtual background generator. This is a really simple example, but I just want to show it to you because I want to actually show you how you provide the instructions into the custom GPT. So when I click on the down arrow up here, I can go to Edit GPT. Now keep in mind what I said, because I created this custom GPT, I'm the only one who can edit it. I'm the only one who can see these instructions. If I share this with you all as a group, you can use the custom GPT to create your Zoom virtual background, but you can't see the instructions and you can't actually see what I put in here. So that is important to understand, that you as the author, the creator, you retain that control. You're not giving that up when you share that GPT with someone else. The other thing that's important to at least mention very briefly is you have to have a paid account on ChatGPT in order to create a custom GPT. So you have to at least be on the Plus account or a Teams account if it's through your work. You have to be on a paid account. You can still use a GPT, a custom GPT, if you're on the free account, but you can't create one. So if you create one and you've got the paid account, you can share it with your friends or colleagues, and they can still use it even if they're on the free plan. But in order to create, you have to actually be on a paid plan. So I'm just going to walk you through this one really quick. When you create a custom GPT, you're really just filling in some directions step by step. Starts with the name, you give it the title, a description. You can put one in there if you want, but you don't have to. The key part of what makes a custom GPT work are the instructions that you provide it. So in this case, what this custom GPT is doing is it's going to build for the person who's using it a custom Zoom virtual background, right? Something they can use when they're on a Zoom call. And so it asks them a series of questions. It has an overview here of sort of describing what it's going to do. And here's the step-by-step questions. You know, what city are you located in, or would you like the background to reflect? Then all of these are just multiple choice or fill in the blank type things. What type of background texture should be featured? What lighting style do you prefer? Would you like any subtle decorative elements in the background, right? Do you want a logo in the background? If so, you have to upload it, and it lets the GPT know that. Then you tell it how big you want it. So that's it. It's just a very basic set of instructions for this one task. This is just a repeatable, tool that anyone can use to create these custom Zoom virtual backgrounds. Now, the key thing to note here is inside of this, you have the ability to upload knowledge. And most of your good custom GPTs will have some form of knowledge that you, as the user, will upload to them. Maybe it's a reference file. Maybe if you're building this for your internal team, maybe it's a copy of your design guidelines, the color scheme that you use, those types of things, so that it can reference that as part of the custom GPT actions. But this could be anything. If you're building that onboarding guide, maybe you're uploading here a copy of your policies and procedures, the employee manual, maybe it's a guide to the benefits that your company offers. All of those things can be uploaded as knowledge into that custom GPT. And then from there, once you can actually test it out over here. But what I'm going to do instead of testing it out is I'm actually going to share the link with you all just so you can test it. So I'll just go ahead and post it here in the Zoom chat so you can actually try it out for yourself when you have time. And this will give you an idea of what the custom GPT does, right? It lets you actually go and see it. Now, you'll notice when I go to share here, my custom GPT settings are set to anybody with the link can use it. So in this case, it's not publicly listed in the GPT store. It's only available to those who have the link. But you, as the creator, get to control who has access to that. Now, I mentioned earlier that people wanted to sell custom GPTs. You can actually do that because you control the link. So maybe if you have an audience, if you have a social media following and somebody says, hey, you created a really cool fantasy football custom GPT. I want to buy that from you. I'm going to pay you, $25 for that. You can do that, right? You can build that custom GPT and sell it. And the way you do that, of course, is not through ChatGPT. You have to have some way to finish that transaction, but then you come back and you just share the link with them. So I have seen several examples of people doing that, mostly for fun or maybe for smaller projects. I don't think there's a huge demand for Zoom virtual backgrounds, but if there were, I could do the same thing here. So this is where you would actually go. This is what it looks like when you go to create that custom GPT. I just want to emphasize the big thing here is the amount of knowledge that you put into that custom GPT can make a significant difference. So what's great is to think through potential use cases, how you might use this, and think about, okay, well, is this a good use case for a custom GPT? So anyway, that's how you would actually go about creating it and how you would go about editing it. And if we have some more times at the end, I'll come back to it, but I don't want to get through here without sharing a couple more things with you. But certainly if you have any questions about this, please let me know. This is one of those features that I think has a tremendous use case for businesses, because now you start to see, oh, I can develop a tool that my colleagues or my teammates or my employees can use so that they're not having to ask you all of those questions, right? So I think that's a great starting point to think about. And that really applies to pretty much anything with AI. When you think about how should we begin to use AI, it's not so much by starting with the tool. You want to start with the problem. What problem are you looking to solve? What is the problem that keeps repeating or popping up over and over again? Because those things that are really great candidates for an AI-based solution. And so that is the advice I continue to give to business owners time and time again is don't focus too much on the tool, because number one, the tool may change. It's always going to get better. But focus instead on the problem. And is it something that you can clearly define in order to build a solution for? So that is a custom GPT. Again, key things to remember: when you create one, you own it, you control it. When you share it with other people, but they cannot edit it. And you have to be on a paid account to create it, but not a paid account to use it. Okay. So that's the big things I would emphasize. This other little tip I want to give you is this is a GPT that I'm especially fond of. I don't have a relationship to the creator other than to say I follow him and I really appreciate his stuff. It is called Prompt Maker. So if you go to GPTs, the way you'll find it is you can just type in Prompt Maker. And the reason I recommend this is because with ChatGPT, and the same goes for every AI platform that you use, the quality of your prompt makes such a tremendous difference in the quality of your output. So better prompts equals better outputs. And so if you're just getting into ChatGPT, you may become frustrated and saying, well, these answers are all generic or bland. They don't really seem to fit. Usually it's a prompting issue. So if you need help with preparing a better prompt, in many cases, it's just seeing what a good prompt looks like. You can actually utilize, there's several, but this is one that I highly recommend. This one by Ruben. It's called Prompt Maker. When you start using it, right, you may say, okay, from a simple prompt to an optimized prompt. Maybe you say, my prompt is write a mission statement for my coffee shop, right? And that's your prompt. What it's going to do is it's actually going to come back and take your prompt and make it much better. Now, right now it's reading documents. It's utilizing the knowledge that Ruben has used to create this custom GPT with. And then it's going to come back with a much more structured, much more detailed prompt eventually. It's been a little bit slow today for some reason, but I want to at least show you how it works. Any day now. Sorry. Sometimes things don't go according to plan during the live demo. Crafting the prompt. We're almost there.
Kevin, I'll pop in with a question.
Sure thing.
Someone has asked what the name is of the course, the AI course that you were taking. Are you able to share the course?
Oh, yeah, the one where they had the AI avatar.
Yeah.
I think that's what, yeah. So it was from a company called Section AI.
Okay.
And so they have a bunch of different courses, and they also have some great resources. I definitely recommend checking them out. It is, but that was the one where the instructor actually came on early on and said, hey, as things change and things get updated, you're going to see my AI clone or my AI avatar. All right, this one's not wanting to work. Yeah, so now you can see it's putting it in now, just taking it a while. So my prompt was write a mission statement for my coffee shop. Ruben's prompt maker took that and said, okay, here's the actual prompt you want to do. Okay, and you can see how much more detail, how much more context is provided in that prompt, including step-by-step instructions as well as an objective. So what we found, especially with ChatGPT 5, we're going back to these models are so capable and can do so many things. Sometimes the best thing to do is to give them that additional context and that additional examples, in this case, more structure to the prompt to get much better results. But like I said, we're coming up close to the top of the hour, and I do want to give some time for questions. So let me skip forward just a moment to one more thing that I want to emphasize because it's incredibly important, and especially with AI tools, with just recognizing the importance of cybersecurity as it relates to AI. Okay, and so this is an area of emphasis for us, especially as we work with small businesses to help them understand there are a large number of threats, and those threats are increasing at a high rate because, in many cases, of AI. So this is a great reminder and something I encourage everybody to do when you leave here. There's some things, real simple things. Number one, about actually trying to protect yourself from, let's say, that digital clone and somebody using that of you in a bad way. there's a simple thing you can do to maybe protect yourself.
Your family is going to need an AI safe word. In the past year, we have started to see an increase in AI voice cloning scams. Basically, with just a single audio clip of someone's voice, scammers can use AI to identically impersonate someone's voice end to end. That means they can use your voice to call up family members and ask for emergency money. And this voice cloning technology has gotten so good, it's practically impossible to determine if you're getting scammed. And this only gets worse with video clips where scammers can create full-on deepfakes of individuals. So this is why experts are starting to suggest that people come up with AI safe words. Basically, if you're ever talking to a family member and you're suspicious that you're getting scammed, you have a safe word in your family to ensure that the person on the other line is actually the person you think you're talking to. Taking it a step further, I think we're gonna need similar precautions inside of companies. It'll be easy for AI scammers to impersonate managers and call up their employees. Ultimately, it's a safe precaution to have a conversation with your family and come up with an AI safe word. There's only going to be an increase in the amount of AI cloning scams, and I think this is the right precaution to take. I'll continue sharing the latest in AI news, so follow along.
So a simple thing, right? It's not just the good guys that have access to these tools, the bad guys do too. And so it's important for us as business owners, as well as family members, those who have family members who may be not as up to date or not as tech savvy. We're going to have to educate them, right? It's going to be our responsibility to educate and try to inform them about some of these AI enabled scams that are only going to get more sophisticated. I'll skip this one just to save time, but certainly something you want to share with your family, with your employees, are ways in which you can, just by something as simple as a safe word, right? Make sure that if they won't be as susceptible to those types of scams. So beware of those AI-powered phishing scams as well. These things used to be really easy to spot because it was all oftentimes broken English and misspelled words. Now these things look legitimate because of AI. And so it's harder to pinpoint them, but you really have to be extra vigilant in this. The other thing here that we don't talk too much about, but when we can get into it at a later time, is you also want to review what permissions you're giving these AI tools. It's great. It's a great benefit to let your AI connect to your CRM, but you also need to monitor that and maintain that and understand those implications of letting that access go on for an indefinite amount of time. So that's something you really want to pay attention to. As a reminder, we do have at the Kentucky SBDC some great additional resources on cybersecurity. Encourage you to check those out at KentuckySBDC.com/cybersecurity. So with that, we're coming to questions and discussion for the last few minutes. Claire, I'm happy to hang out longer if anyone has questions. Would love to do that. But yeah, happy to be with you all, and thank you all for this opportunity to share.
It was great, Kevin. Thank you so much. I loved the kind of practical ways you were suggesting that business owners could use it. If you're doing trainings and so on, it's almost a bit overwhelming to even imagine sometimes how might I best implement AI in my daily, workflow. So I think the more we all talk about it and share how we've been using things and what has helped us, the better. Oh, can you type the name of the avatar course? Is it Section AI, you said?
So it's important. The course itself was not about avatars. It was just that they were using avatars in order to provide that up-to-date material. So they were using it as a supplement, if you will. But the course itself was really just on, I think it was, in this case, it was more about, developing a plan to launch AI throughout your company. But the website you can find is section.ai.
Let's see, this is a great presentation and great information. I think it's very clear. It's on their radar. Everyone's looking to learn more as much as they can and kind of get up to speed.
Yeah.
And we all feel that way.
I think so. It's, this is a topic that obviously I'm pretty passionate about, as you can tell. It's always a danger to kind of wind me up and let me go about AI because it can take longer than expected. But yeah, I'm certainly happy to, and I would encourage folks to really, who are interested in this and exploring it further, sign up on our list, because we will have an opportunity to really, connect into some of these topics at a deeper level and talk through them to I think help business owners really understand, okay, well, now I'm ready to start looking at ways to implement this in my business. How do I do that? Right. So I think it's important to get that basic AI literacy under our belts, but then we can kind of dive deeper into actually making it work at a business by business level.
Yeah, sounds great. Thank you for this, talking about the good, neutral, and the bad. Yeah, it's always good to be informed in those situations. I had heard a similar story on the radio about having a safe word for your family, which sounds like a good idea.
Something simple, right?
Yep. All right. Estella says thank you. Hi, Estella. Good to see you. Wonderful. Well, we are right at 1 o'clock. I see many thank yous. I think folks are very appreciative of the information. No further questions at this time, so I think we will wrap it up. But again, there's this QR code here, and take a picture of that to grab more information as we move along. Thank you, Kevin.
Thank you, Claire. Thank you, Janet. Appreciate everyone being here today with me. And yeah, y'all have a great rest of your week.
Thank you very much. We'll make Kevin will send the slides to me, and I'll send those out to you along with the recording and all the links that Kevin had mentioned throughout as well. We'll put that all in one email so you get that later. Stick around real quick for evaluation. So thank you guys.
Thank you.